Hi, everybody. Welcome to Christian Homestead. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. We have the new details out for the April 2025 General Conference, and I always look forward to this. Thank you to Caitlin with Anticipating Christ's Return. She's the one that put this on my radar, so everybody make sure to subscribe to her and check out her content. But I always look forward to this every General Conference because some time ago, I put together this spreadsheet called General Conference Saturday Evening, referring to the Saturday evening session, because in President Nelson's first year as president of the church, his second General Conference, which was the October 2018 General Conference, that was the first time that the Saturday evening session was anything other than the General Priesthood session, at least going back to 1971. I got all this information from the church website itself under the General Conference section of the website. And, this is what I remember all growing up, is that Saturday evening was always the priesthood session. And I figured that it would always be that way, all the way till the second coming and beyond into the millennium, maybe. Well, President Nelson has been a pretty exceptional president of the church. I mean, they all are, but there have been a lot of changes under his leadership. And of course, I don't think that that's because of him specifically. I think that everything that any prophet does is inspired and directed by the Lord. It's not just arbitrary. Yes, they do counsel together, and just like us in our personal lives, we have to work out problems, and the Lord allows us to exercise our agency. But ultimately, the church is guided and directed by the Lord through the prophet. So we're going to look at this General Conference and see what is the Saturday evening session going to be this time. And then we're going to go into this conversation about General Conference and how it could be part of the proceedings of Adam-ondi-Ahman. I think a lot of people picture that first appearance of Christ at Adam-ondi-Ahman as something like this. So here is a 360 picture that I took at the Valley of Adam-ondi-Ahman early last year. Well, around this time last year, actually. And I think a lot of people picture that somehow or another, the entire church is going to be in this valley, which is, it's not small, but to have all those people, I'm not sure that that could happen through practical means. I know that there's some people that think that only 2% of the church is going to survive. And so if you're one of the lucky ones, not if you're one of the lucky ones, if you know what the plan is and you know the timeline, then you'll be safe and you'll make it to Adam-ondi-Ahman. I'm not of that point of view. I'm not saying that there can't be a large gathering here of all the righteous in the church, but if that happens, I think it would have to be through supernatural means, but I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I think it's more likely that our general conferences are actually part of this. Another thing that a lot of people think is that Adam-ondi-Ahman is just a single meeting, but I have quotes that say otherwise. So we'll take a look at all this in just a minute here. I want to remind you, I am participating in the 2025 House of the Lord Temple Challenge, gathering 5 stakes in Zion. What we're trying to do is encourage you and I and the other channels that are running this challenge to go to the temple more. You go to the temple and then you go to the description box in any of my videos, and there's a link for this form. So it's a self-reporting thing. You just fill this out and then it goes to this spreadsheet. If you don't want to fill out the form, you can email templesofjesus@gmail.com. That's Mindy with the Temples of Jesus channel. Okay. She's the one that's running this. So as of right now, just really quick, if we only look at ordinances themselves, we're at 16,545. If we include column I, which is names submitted, then we are at 26,246. So in that sense, we've hit the goal of 25,000. But me and Mindy and others, we're going to have a little meeting soon, and we're going to recalibrate and probably set a new goal. This is a brand new thing, so we're still just trying to figure it out. So please keep it up. Pretty soon, probably in the next week, we'll let you know what the new goal is. We may do something like we only focus on endowments for a month and try and hit, like right now we're at 2,065 endowments that have been performed. Maybe we'll try and get to 5,000 total within a month or 2 months or something like that. So I'll get that to you as soon as we have that figured out. But good job. Please keep up the good work. Okay, so let's go to this church newsroom article, April 2025 General Conference. I'm going to skip down to this part. The next global broadcast, which originates every 6 months from the conference center in Salt Lake City, Utah, USA, is on Saturday, April 5th and Sunday, April 6th, 2025. By the way, this by itself, I think, is pretty special. It's not very often that April 6th falls on the Sunday of General Conference. It does happen, at a certain frequency, more or less, but it's not very common. So this is just one of many reasons that this upcoming General Conference may be special, but I've done videos about that before. Just check my channel, go back a couple weeks, and you'll see that video. There's a lot to think about with this upcoming General Conference, but all right, continuing. It will consist of 5 unique 2-hour sessions over the 2 days. I wanted to look into the sessions being described as unique 2-hour sessions. Is that anything special? Well, I went back to the October 2024 General Conference, and that's how they described it that time as well. So unique might, pique your interest, and you might be like, ooh, is this going to be something different? No, this is just how they're describing it. It's just going to be, these separate sessions, just like they always are. It's just a way of saying that. Okay. And then for the Saturday evening session, it doesn't say priesthood or women, so I can only assume that it's just going to be another joint session. So if we hop over to my spreadsheet, okay, so row 15, this was the first time that I'm aware of that the Saturday evening session was anything other than the priesthood session. President Nelson, the first presidency, they had that be the general women's session. Now, before I continue, back in the October 2014 General Conference, according to this article by Tad Walsh, Deseret News, the name of the article is LDS Church Confirms Women's Meeting is Now Part of General Conference. According to that article, this was the first time that the General Women's Session was officially part of General Conference, which I'll take their word for it. If you go to the church website, they do include these other sessions. It's gone by different names. Like you've had the General Relief Society meeting, and then for a long time, it alternated each General Conference between the General Relief Society meeting and the General Young Women meeting. Okay. You go back, and then there's the General Women's meeting. So I don't know. I'll just go with what the article says. But whatever the case, okay, you have October 2018, and now it's in the Saturday evening slot. So that's new. And there wasn't a general priesthood session for that conference. Then the next conference, it went back to priesthood. Then it went back to the women's session. And then in the April 2020 General Conference, which we know was a special General Conference, it was one that President Nelson said would be not only memorable, but unforgettable, in that it was a hinge point in the history of the church, and the new church symbol was introduced, and we did a Hosanna shout, and there was a new proclamation. That conference, there was a joint session. And again, as far as I know, that's the only time that there's been a joint session for the Saturday evening session. Then after that, it went back to women. And then after that, priesthood again, and then joint, and then women's, and then joint. And it's been joint all the way up until now. This upcoming General Conference, it seems that the Saturday evening session is going to be joint. So I guess that begs the question, is it ever going to go back to the women's session, or are we going to see a priesthood session again? Because at this point, it's been a while since we've had a priesthood session. The last one was April of 2021. So that's a really long time. There is a statement that was put out. This is another one that I have to update to the new format. President Down H. Oaks, first counselor in the first presidency, May 2022, Liahona. Oh, so sorry. This would be the April 2022 General Conference introductory message. Okay. So he says, "My dear sisters, as we begin this unique women's session of General Conference, I am pleased to deliver this introductory message from the First Presidency. Our Saturday sessions have a history of different purposes in different audiences. This evening, we add to that history as we embark upon a new purpose and procedure for the foreseeable future." Okay, the foreseeable future. "The gospel of Jesus Christ does not change. Gospel doctrine does not change. Our personal covenants do not change. But over the years, the meetings we hold to communicate our messages do change, and very likely will continue to change over the years. For now, this Saturday evening session is a session of General Conference, not a session of any organization. Like all sessions of General Conference, the planning, speakers, and music are designated by the First Presidency." So he said that April 2022 General Conference. So I don't know. The only time that I can see that session has been for different audiences, it's only gone back to October 2018. Before that, it always was the priesthood session, as far as I can tell. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about Adam-ondi-Ahman, and why would I think that General Conference could be part of the proceedings of Adam-ondi-Ahman? Well, I have this quote. I think this may be the quote that first gave me this idea. And I've noticed that President Holland is one that likes to drop breadcrumbs. So this was when he was Elder Jeffrey R. Holland of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. He says, "As prophets have done in dispensations from Adam down to the present day, President Hinckley has figuratively gathered us in a kind of global equivalent of the valley of Adam-ondi-Ahman, has loved us and taught us and bestowed upon us his blessing." So this may be how they view it, because this may be how it is. There's more. Don't worry. There's more. We got this one. A lot of people already know this quote. This was already a very popular quote, even before I started my channel. This is from Sister Nelson. It's from A Worldwide Devotional for Young Adults, January 10th, 2016. And President Nelson was president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles at this point, just a couple years before he became president of the church. And she says, "So now a question as I conclude. What if you learned that the Savior had already returned to this earth? That he, as part of his second coming, had already met with some of his true followers in several marvelous, large gatherings. Gatherings about which the world, including CNN and the blogosphere, knew nothing. If you found out that the Savior was already on the earth, what would you desperately want to do today, and what would you be willing and ready to do tomorrow?" I don't know about you, but this also seems like a breadcrumb. I have some other hints here. This is on my spreadsheet called Quotes A through Z. It's currently row 16 for Adam-ondi-Ahman hints. I'm not going to read the other ones, but let's just keep these two in mind. General Conference being compared to the valley of Adam-ondi-Ahman, and I guess therefore the meeting of Adam-ondi-Ahman, or meetings, plural. And then Sister Nelson talking about, what if this was already going on and you didn't know about it? Now, if you look at the footnotes of her talk, for that part, Let's see, click on that to renew my borrowing of this book. The footnotes of her talk for that part take you to Elder Bruce R. McConkie's The Millennial Messiah. This is chapter 47, the private and public appearances. So this is the chapter where he talks about Adam-ondi-Ahman, and he starts with this. The second coming of the Son of Man consists not of one, but of many appearances. Our blessed Lord will come, attended by all the hosts of heaven, and in all the glory of his Father's kingdom, not to one, but to many places. He will stand on one continent after another, speak to one great assemblage after another, and work his will among succeeding groups of mortals. Allusions to and some explanations concerning these various appearances are found in the ancient world. These, however, might well go unnoticed or remain without proper interpretation if it were not for the clarifying views found in latter-day revelation. For instance, one of David's psalms calls upon us to give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name, and then, rather enigmatically, the inspired psalmic word acclaims, "The voice of the Lord is upon the waters. The God of glory thundereth. The Lord is upon many waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty," and a number of similar expressions. So this is really interesting. I can only assume that Elder Bruce R. McConkie is talking about this as part of Adam-ondi-Ahman. That there's these many different appearances in different places. And it very well could be, in my mind, that whenever you have these special area conferences in different places, you may not physically see the Lord there, but he may be there. And the words that the speaker is speaking may be much more the actual, literal, dictated word of the Lord, rather than just something that the speaker came up with. It's interesting because a couple general conferences ago, President Dallin H. Oaks gave a talk where the entire talk was nothing but him quoting the words of the Savior in the scriptures. I've never seen a talk like that in my life. It was very unusual. So essentially, Christ himself, using the words he had already spoken in the scriptures, gave a talk in general conference through President Oaks. But there's more. Just stay with me. Now we're going to go to back to my quotes A through Z spreadsheet. This is currently row 15, Adam-ondi-Ahman, appearances at. So what I just read you, I had not put on the spreadsheet yet, so now it's on here, but going from one continent to another, one great assemblage to another, which very well could be area conferences, like special area conferences and devotionals. But then I think this is, I'll have to double check. This may be, I think this is later in the book, page 585. Okay. But Daniel has yet more to say about the great events soon to transpire at Adam-ondi-Ahman. And we need not suppose that all these meetings shall happen in one single meeting or at one single hour in time. And this is exactly what I think a lot of people think. They think that there's just going to be one day where everybody shows up here, either in some supernatural way, or after, bringing their hand carts, coming from all directions to, I think to Jackson County, and then coming up, making a trek to Adam-ondi-Ahman. I don't know how that theory goes, but I think a lot of people think that there's just going to be this one day, or maybe a couple days right in a row, where you have this just huge meeting. I don't think that that's the case. I think that it's going to be spread out. So we have that. And then I have to remind you of this one here. If you're new to the channel, you may not have heard this before. This is from, at the time, Elder Joseph Fielding Smith of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, who of course went on to become president of the church, in his book called The Way to Perfection, page 291. So he's talking about Adam-ondi-Ahman, and then at this part he says, When this gathering is held, the world will not know of it. The members of the church at large will not know of it. Yet it shall be preparatory to the coming in the clouds of glory of our Savior Jesus Christ, as the prophet Joseph Smith has said. The world cannot know of it. The saints cannot know of it, except those who officially shall be called into this council, for it shall precede the coming of Jesus Christ as a thief in the night, unbeknown to all the world. So I think that this is my guess. It's just a guess. I think that we are participating in it. I think all these different sessions of General Conference that have different purposes, different audiences, I think that this is all part, or at least some, if not all of them, then some of them, I think, are part of Adam-ondi-Ahman. You have some of these other meetings. You have this special satellite broadcast for children, which according to the church website, they have that go along with General Conference as though it's part of General Conference for that year. February 1999, so just a couple months before that April General Conference, a conversion and retention broadcast. There was a member finances fireside. Here you have the Relief Society. Why did I pick I could have just skipped this. Sesquicentennial satellite broadcast, priesthood leadership meeting. And then for a while, for several years in a row, from, April 1974 until October 1982, you had these welfare sessions. And then you had other sessions that used to be held on other days of the week back in the 70s. So there's been a variety of different sessions of General Conference. Again, what did Elder Bruce R. McConkie say? He said, "It is proper to hold numerous meetings at a General Conference, some for the instruction of leaders, others for edification of all the saints. In some, business is transacted, others are for worship and spiritual refreshment." So you put it all together, the hints, the things that have been said about Adam-ondi-Ahman, in what we've been seeing with General Conference. I mean, to me, I feel like this could be it. And maybe it's really significant that we're starting to have these joint sessions. Maybe it's, we're in the red phase. The second coming is just right around the corner. And so it's not just business as usual, as it has been for so long. Now we're in a new phase. So anyway, that's it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.